Welcome to 5 and 5 from the One Stop Co-op Shop, where I discuss 5 key elements of a game in about 5 minutes. I'm Michael Kelly, and today I'm looking at Under Falling Skies from Czech Games Edition. Disclaimer that I was sent a review copy of this game. I've heard really positive things about this solo-only game since it was a print-and-play edition, so I was really excited to play this full one featuring a campaign. Did it stand out among the quick solo dice placement games? Let's find out and get to the list. The first thing I want to discuss for my number 5 is that campaign, and for me this is a bit of a mix. Now by the way, I'm not going to do any spoilers except for like general ideas, but the basic gist of the campaign is that you unlock some stuff in the bottom of the box. It's really nicely done, and it has like a little storyline for you, and you get some materials, and you combine those into a campaign that could be up to 8 or 10 or 12 plays. You record your progress, and it's sort of fail forward. You can never fail completely, but how you do might affect things later, and the actual unlocking of content is great because they have cool stuff each time and you'll get excited at least your first time through. But that being said, I don't know how many times I'll actually play through the campaign. The story is just kind of I kind of expect more to take the modules and put those together, but not to actually go through the whole rigmarole again. But that leads right into my number 4, a full-on pro, which are these modules. And again, I won't get into too many details, but basically the game gives you a wide array of options to make the experience more difficult or easier. You can change up the kinds of actions available to you, change up special powers, the entire structure of the base and how it looks will be very different, the bonuses you get will be different, the things facing you will be different, they have these different objectives that really change up your thought process in the game. Great variety from these modules. So again, not sure I care too much about the campaign once I've finished it, but the modules, yes, I love them. And for such a small, inexpensive game, they give you a ton of stuff to play with. But despite that, I do have to put in a con at my number 3, the only one in this review, but an important one to say, and that's the fact that this is a little $30 dice placement game, and despite all the modules, despite all the bells and whistles and extra things you can unlock, in the end it's a very simple play experience. You'll probably love it, but at the same time, I think it's going to get repetitive after a while. This is not one I'm going to want to play like 10 times in a row, day after day after day. I think it's the kind of one you might break out once every week or two to play a quick game with. And that's totally fine. I think for the price point, this game gives you more than you bargained for, but I do have to say that you're going to go through the same motions and follow the same basic strategies. The options and modules don't change that heart of the game enough, so just be aware that if you go in, this is not like an evergreen game you can play every single day without it getting dull. But let's get to some more pros. My number 2 is a big one, and that's how you place your dice in your base. So the core concept is you roll 5 dice on your turn, and you have 5 columns in your base, and you can only put 1 die in each column. So you have to really kind of carefully plan out which actions you need. Do you want to research to get closer to winning the game? Do you want to shoot down enemies so you don't get blown up? Do you want to advance the excavator to get more options for your next turn? And 2 of the dice are white, and whenever you place them, you have to re-roll all your other dice, so you have a lot of kind of fun luck mitigation and choice. So the overall placement of the dice in your base and using the columns is really clever, a simple idea that has a ton of tactical depth to it. But something that gives the game even more tactical depth, a bunch more, so much more, is my number 1, my favorite thing about the game, and that's that whatever die value you place in a column of your base will cause the enemy ships to come down in kind of a Galaga-like fashion. And it is the master stroke of this design, because what could be in the end a fairly basic puzzle of dice placement becomes so much more complicated, so much more interesting, because you're not just thinking about what actions you're taking, but how it's going to affect every enemy on the board. And you want to get them to these special explosion spaces where you can blow them up, but only on the turn where you play an airplane attack to try to attack them. And then they have other spaces that'll cause the mothership to advance or other negative things to happen. It is such a delicious puzzle, all because of the interplay of this mechanic of the enemies coming down and the placement of the dice in the base. It really is a truly excellent core design. Overall, I think Under Falling Skies has the small possibility of getting a little repetitive over time, and the campaign is not the main selling point, so don't expect to come here and think unlocking stuff is going to be the greatest thing ever. But if you can get past that, the great variety in modules, even with the core repetitive play, and the amazing puzzle of putting those dice down and moving those ships really make this a winner. One of my favorite dice placement games of all time. Yes, I said it. At this price point, I think basically any solo player should check this one out. And if you'd like to see a full playthrough of the game with no spoilers, click the link that just popped up. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.